week on Catalyst, revealing the secrets of trust.
This little simple brain chemical is not only telling you what's good for society, be cooperative, trust other people, it also tells you what's good for you as an individual.
Studying the emotion we take for granted could bring lasting changes. The latest investigation of the Hobbit people reveals startling new information.
Might have been small, but you wouldn't want to arm wrestle one of these.
These ancient little people are once again shaking the family tree. The charismatic 4-kilo parrot you can't help but love.
Beautiful. Isn't he gorgeous?
The recovery plan was meant to bring it back from the brink of extinction until a mystery illness struck.
Oh my God, are we going to be actually able to get a diagnosis on this? Those tests take time and there's no way you can shorten them.
Can they find the cure before it's too late? Hello, I'm Karina Kelly. You'd be forgiven for thinking there was a shortage of trust in the world at the moment. But believe it or not, humans are still the planet's most trusting creatures. Without it, modern society wouldn't work at all. We sent the very trustworthy Mark Horstman to join a lab experiment where they hope not just to isolate trust, but maybe even bottle it.
Think of peace, love and harmony, and Los Angeles might not be the first city that comes to mind.
If you really want to play it safe,
But I've come here to discover the secret of what makes us trust each other.
in this experiment, you're going to be receiving a substance up your nose before you make your decisions.
And I'm next in line. Trust me, he says, I'm a doctor.
Okay, now we're going to give you your inhaler.
Of all things, he's squirting me with a hormone that's normally released by the body during orgasm.
Breathe. Okay.
That's delicious.
Breathe.
So why in the nose?
Nose is a great place to get drugs into the brain.
So this is a direct shot into my brain. Experiments like this are stripping away the mysteries of trust.
Breathe.
It's an emotion so ordinary we take it for granted, yet so extraordinary, civilization depends on it for survival. Without it, society starts to fall apart. We need trust to live in cities, conduct business, form relationships, even catch a bus. But is trust something we're born with? Or do our suspicious minds have to learn how to do it?
We're going to travel. I can't walk out.
In terms of evolution, we don't have to climb very far on the family tree to find where trust comes from.
What I see in cooperative animals is that in order to have successful cooperation, you have to watch what you get, that you get enough out of that cooperation. And that's what these monkeys seem to be doing, and that's, I think, what humans are doing.
From his studies of chimpanzees, Frans de Waal knows they've evolved the foundations of trust. Chimps are good at living together in family groups, but not with strangers.
Chimpanzee males definitely not going to cooperate with a stranger. They rather kill the stranger. If you would put 7 million chimpanzees in New York would not be nearly as peaceful.
Even though we share 96% of our DNA with chimps, we've got something different, an X factor that lets us trust total strangers.
So to meet strangers and to do things with them that are constructive is a very human-like problem, which is something that we encounter in our big cities. Humans are very special in that we can live in big cities like that.
But what is that mysterious X factor? Back at the lab, one of the few of its kind in the world, I join other volunteers to find out. Calling the shots is one of the pioneers of neuroeconomics, a new science that explores how and why we make the decisions we do.
Hi, my name is Paul Zach. I want to welcome you to this experiment. We'll get started in just a couple of minutes.
Paul got into this research when, despite all the things economists study, he found that trust is the most important factor to understand poverty.
Once I discovered how important trust was, and no one really knew how two individuals trusted each other, and I happen to have this background in biology and neuroscience, it was sort of a perfect fit.
In this experimental game, I'm given $10 and one chance.
Your decision is to decide how much risk you want to take in sending money to a stranger.
I don't know anyone in this experiment. We haven't met each other and we can't see what each other's doing. Now I'm going to decide to send $5 of my stash to somebody else, unknown, and see what happens.
My money's tripled on the way, and the other player then decides how much, if any, to send back to me. We both have to take a chance on each other. It tests just how trusting both of us are. Now, it seems a fair bet that most people would just hang on to the money they've got. Yet, time and time again, the same surprising result came up. Both players usually ended up with more money than they started. So why don't they act in pure self-interest, like economic theory says they should?
Their brain is guiding them to both socially and individually beneficial behavior. And that's very interesting, and this happens at an unconscious level. So if you send them...
And now the X factor at work behind the scenes has been identified. Blood samples taken from the players reveal a reproductive hormone that surges 50% higher in those being trusted. Remarkably, the hormone is oxytocin, better known for its role in orgasm, childbirth and breastfeeding.
For humans who are not breastfeeding or giving birth, the other time oxytocin spikes, besides when a stranger shows they trust you, is when you have sex. So at some level, it's sexual reproduction that has enabled the growth of oxytocin, this bonding mechanism that's important in monogamous species, which humans mostly are.
And this is where the nasal spray comes in, to single out this hormone and its effect on trust. Paul floods some players with synthetic oxytocin and some with water to compare their behaviour.
It's been an hour since my dose of oxytocin, so I'm peaking right now. And apart from feeling relaxed and a bit warm and fuzzy, I'm not really feeling much different. But this experiment shows that I'm twice as likely to give away all my money. And you know, I feel pretty good about it.
This research confirms that it's oxytocin that's the key hormone increasing trust in humans.
So somehow, this little simple brain chemical is not only telling you what's good for society, be cooperative, trust other people, allowing us to live in big cities, it also tells you what's good for you as an individual.
So again, this will take about a half hour or so.
So we've found the chemical trigger. But what does it fire in our brains?
You'll be listening to us through some headphones. Just let us know if there's any problems.
Will do.
Okay.
That's fine. Well, another day, another test. I'm about to climb into the functional MRI machine that's going to photograph my brain and see what lights up while I try to trust someone I've never met.
Have a seat on the table here.
Once loaded into the scanner, I'm going to play the same game, only this time it goes for 10 rounds. It lets these neuroeconomists at Caltech watch how trust changes from moment to moment.
Can you hear me okay?
That's good.
Okay.
Oh. Have you found my brain?
We found your brain. It's a little smaller than we expected.
I thought so.
Okay, we're going to get started. This first scan is going to take 20 to 22 minutes or so.